This one thing that I always questioned myself since I was a kid. No matter what I saw, I always asked myself two questions: why and how. People who believe in God, those people who are atheist, who who are logic, who are empathetic, who partially believe in God. Some people believe in certain power existing in this universe, but they do not call it God. Some people say this is just a reaction of Big Bang or aftermath of something that is related to physics and chemistry. Whatever the reason is, everyone, whether they like it or not, acknowledges that there is some kind of power exists, whether you call it a god or a physics or chemistry. So there are things, even in a normal way, if you think that way, you can always find the answers. People people find too many reasons to believe that there is a god exists, and the religious people always try to, majority of them always try to prove that the god exists, and they mock those people who are atheist. This is also not needed. No one needs to prove that the God exists. It has to come from within, and it is none of our business. If someone does not believe in God, that's also fine. But saying that that kind of divinity does not exist, it's not believing is different. But mocking it and completely rejecting the existence of something, even if they do not call it a god, something, some power, that is also not right. So there are people who are atheists who do not believe in any kind of a god, but they do not mock, they do not go too further in that road that they make it a habit of making fun of religious people because they've been mocked by religious people. It is like giving back and forth, going back and forth, something like that. Whether you believe in God or not, whether you are a religious person or not, it does not matter too much unless you try to push that on someone else's throat. It has to be our own belief that we want to follow. Usually, most religious people do this because they think they are saving someone by making someone believing their own God or religion. That does not need to be the case, actually. People believe, there are lots of things happens in this world because they think they are doing something noble. Religion is, it crosses that boundary sometimes because that ends up in violence and lots of negative things which God does not consent, but people do it anyway because they think that is what they have to do, because they believe in God. So that is the one negative stance that I see from almost every religion, most of the religion. But apart from that, since I was a kid, I always used to ask myself, I always ask these two questions: why and how. No matter what I see, no matter what I feel or something like that. For example, it's a very simple thing that people do not remember. Even if they use a single pen every single day, they do not remember the basic thing, the pattern, the color, the texture, any minute detail of their own pen. So life can be like that because we experience daily. So it becomes so mundane that it doesn't sit in our mind. For example, even if you ask a cat, what is the color of the grass? I mean, if you say grass, automatically the green color pops up in our mind. Even if you ask a random cat, because cats eat grass, if you are a cat owner, you would know. So, why is that? Yeah, because of the chlorophyll and everything. But why is that? Why the grass is not blue? Why the grass is not black? Why there is a chlorophyll in that grass? Who put it in? There is no answer for that. So there is no logic. If you keep searching for answers, that is why logic does not stand when you actually trying to find the reason for all of those things. You keep searching for answers, keep asking these questions, why and how. Why the grass? It is a universal truth no matter where you go on earth. I don't know about other planets, but on earth the grass is green. So you may give any scientific reasons that because of this happened, because of that grass has been green, because of this. So why did that happen? Why did that chain reaction happen? What is the starting from a point of that? So what is the odd that the grass on earth become green? We don't know. So there must be an additional point that we do not know, that cannot be understandable like by logic itself. So it's the same way, like we have our five senses, everybody have basic senses, but some people have that sixth sense, that only people who have that can understand that they have it. It can variate from one person to one person. It can disappear at some point and come back some point later as well. If someone practices certain lifestyle, follows a certain lifestyle, it can stay in their life for a lifetime itself. But a person who never experienced that sixth sense, not an intuition is different. Intuition and sixth sense is different. Intuition is a guidance. Sixth sense is knowing, absolute knowing, before everything. So intuition also everyone experience, at least here and there, whether they acknowledge it or not. Sixth sense also sometimes people understand. It happens if a person has developed certain characteristics in their own spiritual way. It has to do with our body as well. Anyway, my point is, if a person has five senses, it is not equal to the same level of sensory development in another person. That is why people have glasses, they wear glasses. Even taste buds, they work differently in different people. Even the same person who has a normal level of taste buds and everything, compared to, you compare that person to that person who tastes in a ice cream company. If you search Google, you can see that in a chocolate company or any big ice cream company, and even tea, I think, yeah, tea manufacturing, they have extra, even I think wine tasting as well. Just by tasting once, they'll be able to tell the percentage of this and that, and how old it is, what are the ingredients that have been used. So they have special sense in that tasting area. So even among the humans, these five basic senses are not equally distributed. The capacity is completely different. Why that it is? People don't realize that it is because of how we live. Some people are born with it, some people develop these kind of capacities over time, and we can develop it. And for example, I'm just saying that, see, there is no logic in understanding life. Why it is? Because why we have to taste food through our mouth, through our tongue. If you see the octopus, it can taste food through its tentacles. Why can't we do that by just touching a food with our hand? Why can't we do that? Why we have to use our tongue? Why we have to put that food in our mouth to taste it? And if you have a cough, like a cold, fever, and if you had lost the sense of smell and such, that food will taste completely different. So basically it varies in a very different manner. So why the octopus has the capacity to taste food through its tentacles, and why we cannot do it? Why that organ has not been developed in a similar way? Octopus is been considered as one of the most intelligent species among all of those ocean creatures and such. Uh, it fascinates me to watch them behave like a little puppy, but extremely intelligent as well. So why we have not developed a sensory organ in our hand. We use our hand in any way to eat, but why we have not done that? Because we have not focused. It was their lifestyle, that focused way of living. It needed that kind of a thing to happen, for it was their necessity, so they evolved in that way. So it means wherever they focused, wherever the necessity was, it developed in them. So human did not develop only because we did not needed to taste any food through hands. We directly put it in our mouth, it continued that way. So it clearly states one thing: evolution can be intentional. It is in our hand. I don't know how many people can understand this. I'm trying to say, if you focus on one thing, we can develop our senses, we can develop our activities in our brain. I think currently we are on around 9%, right? Yeah. So imagine the capacity that we have if we develop our brain around 20%, 30%, 40%, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So what is the result of that expansion that could happen? People feel this intuition. There are people very intuitive. People sometimes they understand someone else's emotions. For example, especially this happens between mother and a child a lot, because the connection between them is too deep. Not every mother and child. If that mother and child has a very deep connection, especially the child is young, they would be feeling this emotion that the other one is feeling without them realizing it. I had a friend who was not in contact, but we were really, 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 really close in high school, and we lost contact with each other. Once in a while, I kept remembering her. Suddenly, there were times I felt like I knew that she was married, but after that, there was no contact and no idea what we were doing. There was a time suddenly I felt like she was pregnant. There was a time I suddenly felt like she was in hospital. I had no reason to feel these kind of things at all, and I didn't much thought much of it. And I was like, no. After so many years, like after more than a decade, and we met, and I had a nice conversation with her, and I found out that she was indeed pregnant during that time, and she was indeed hospitalized. It is very strange to see that kind of relationship, that kind of connection that I had with her. Even though she was not my sibling, not my family, she was very, very close to me at that time, those high school days. So it's very, very much understandable only if you go through these kind of things, only if you're able to understand these kind of things. This is a connection that happens between two people who are very much in love as well. That is why sometimes, when you have a really close connection with someone, you will be able to feel if they are in some kind of trouble, if they are extremely happy. Why do you think that happens? It's because there is an invincible power that binds us, that's within us, that we can build with each other. So there is no logic. Logic does not work after some steps. It can only say 2 plus 2 equal to 4, and you cannot explain everything through logic is based on lots of other things, as well as like information, the ability to understand and percept, and ability to calculate. Unless you know everything, you cannot explain everything through the eyes of logic. Love cannot be explained through logic itself. You can say there is some, this chemical happens, that happens, this happens, but you cannot measure love. You can explain this is how love happens, whether it's between two people in a romantic way, or between a mother and a child, a grandparent and a grandchild, or a fur baby and the parent. So there is no measurement for love, so you cannot explain that in logic. Hate as well. So there is a limitation to our own understanding, because we think that that is end of it. Like, we put boundaries to our own understanding of life, and we think this is it. When we try to break that, when we go through that breakthrough, we can uh, we can do lots of things. One of the things is self healing. For example, people know the placebo effect, right? um, Someone has a headache and they take some medication which is nothing but nothing, maybe a sugar tablet or something like that. Because they believed that it was a medication, they got cured. That was the case. A very rare cancer patient cured himself because he thought some drugs that were in developing stage has been given to him, and he cured it. And he it was actually the saline was given to him, nothing else, because he believed that something very special medication was given to him and it would work. So he cured himself. So people, I have seen people going to this frenzy because of tension, and they get into more trouble. It is all within us. The whole universe is within us. This is not just a statement. And if you actually focus in this one statement, it can unlock every secret of the universe, because everything exists in this universe. We are the miniature of it. In our brain, our nervous system, our blood, our immune system, our bones, our heart, every part of it, how it works. Our body is a miniature system of how universe works. So if we focus inwards, if we focus on believing in something, and actually focusing on things that are not logical, we can actually develop so many ways that uh, eases our life. For example, if telepathy becomes a normal thing, do we need do we need telephones? We do not need telephones or any apps or any physical equipments to have a conversation with someone else. We don't even need holograms. If we have the capacity to jump from one place to another place however we want to, materialize and dematerialize, it's been documented throughout history in many regions around the world that it has happened before. Only few could unlock this, and it was not available for everybody, but there was very distinctive um, stories about these kind of things happening. So it is possible, but humans, we live maximum 100 years. Out of that, it's like 20 years gone understanding how life works, because parents, teachers, this and that, they all try to fill our mind with this is how it is, that is how it is. And sometimes people don't even go through stuff that would make them question everything that they learned, so they get along with it and they get old. But there are sometimes people go through so much, they start to question everything that they learned since they were child. So then they start to understand these kind of things. They may be spiritual, they may be not spiritual, but their understanding of their life can be like completely altered because of how their world flipped backwards. Actually, in the sense, that is actually the truth. People who experience DMTs, they have seen other dimensional peer. They may think that that is hallucination. Actually, it is not. That is how it's been told, that it is not hallucination, because there are people experimented with DMTs, has seen different people, has seen the same entities. So if someone is hallucinating about something, the other person cannot see the same thing and cannot meet and have a conversation with the same entity. That is not possible. So it must have been a person an entity from different dimension, that both these two people met during the different time of DMT. So there are like million things that exist that a human brain currently on a normal setting cannot understand. So to admit that it exists is beneficial for us. Even if we do not understand, even if you cannot understand, cannot accept even, that is perfectly fine. But to mock it that it does not exist, it is like mocking the chance that we have for our own expansion. If imagine if someone, we have the capacity to uh, regenerate our body, heal in an instant, like how you see in those animes. You think that is not possible? That is absolutely possible. Only those who can achieve, they will be. See, there are lots of martial art practitioners who has these physical abilities, mental abilities that is far exceeding normal human beings. Why? Because they have learned certain lifestyle, they have lived certain lifestyle, they have this different mentality, they learn different things, they practice different things, they eat different things. So it made them like in a different breed of people. We can see that even today. It is just a matter of fact that we have to go through that process to reach there. So we do not know the process yet, or we have forgotten with the timing. That's our loss. That is how things works. Change, everything changes, like, with the time. The things are lost, it rediscovered, and when this thing is been rediscovered, it will be considered as discovery. It is not. It is just a rediscovery of every knowledge that we have, because it was there in the older time that we do not know. So whether you believe in a god, not believe in a god, it's up to you. There is a problem, but to mock something that it is not there just because you do not believing in it, that is completely different. So I think there we don't need to go. That is the only different I see. uh, it's like rejecting that fact without even realizing, without even knowing that it exists. Being completely not acknowledge that it exists is a different thing, but to mock it, that is completely negative factor of that existence. So we should be careful in not doing that, because no matter whether someone believes in god or not, the divine will always try to help us. That is their nature. But when you reject it, it is not them, it is our, whoever rejects that help. That is the reason sometimes they can't get help on time, because their energy repulses the energy of that positivity, because it's all about energy and vibration. That's all.